pictures are really important for me. I love them all the way from New York City because it's always about putting the face to this issue. We often get caught up in the numbers, the game, and everything else, but we need to understand that there are children's lives at stake. You know, in 2007, as I shared, you know, the court decision was put down, $5 billion plus. And at that point, as a parent and being involved in it, there was a sense of hope, especially to parents of color, that finally our children would have an opportunity to have a equitably funded education and their dreams could be fulfilled. You know, we stand here today, fast forward 2012, and by the very nature of what's been proposed in the executive budget of competitive grants, takes away from the very essence of what I believe CFE, not only the essence, but the law of what it was supposed to ensure, right? That those very students, whether they live in poverty, which is predominantly students of color across the state, whether they're special needs students, they're Ls, that they will be protected and be provided for. That we will ensure that there were smaller class sizes when we see them ballooning up beyond imagination right now in 2012. And so our position is that you know, how these competitive grants go just against the very nature of CFE, and that those grants should be put back into the larger pot of money to ensure that they go to the highest needs districts. Right? We need to make sure that we are keeping the promises to fulfill CFE to our children, because as a parent, when you tell me that you promised my child that they're going to have funding, that they can then go forth and be prosperous and to be great in school, then I'm going to hold you to that promise. Hence the press conference today, standing with members to say just that word.
We're calling on the legislature really to take this increase that's been proposed, this $805 million increase, and use it to restart, primarily to restart the foundation aid program and get the state back on track to constitutional compliance. So there's been a budget proposal from the executive of $805 million. Some of that, a portion of that, is going into what can be considered operating support, consistent with the foundation aid program, but there's a substantial amount of additional funding in that $805 million package, particularly these competitive grants, that is not consistent with the requirements of CFE and is not consistent with the provisions of the foundation aid formula. So we're here to work with the legislators here and the advocates and others to make sure that this budget is revised to conform to the basic legal requirements of the New York Constitution, the requirements for sound basic education as spelled out in the Court of Appeals decisions in 2003 and 2006, and as embodied in the 2007 Foundation Aid
The
program.
governor has legal training, and for the governor not to follow a court settlement says that he should be held in contempt of court because he's not doing what the court has said. He has said that education is a civil rights issue of this time. Then I say to the governor, put your money where your mouth is and give the funding for CFE. And to my colleagues, I say, he's the executive, we are the legislature, and that we need to back up what we say here with our votes. Thank you.
Are losing money and children can't wait. That's as brief as I can make it. Children get older every day. They should be going from one grade to another every year. And without the resources, they're not prepared to go from one grade to another.
When you talk about education, education is not a privilege, it's a right. And the way it seems now, it seems like only the privileged can get a well-balanced education. And I'm all for competition. There's nothing wrong with competition, but as long as the playing field is level. So when we're talking about competitive grants, let's make sure that that CFE money that was promised to those districts who need it the most, give them an opportunity to have a level playing field.
Anyone who claims, anybody in government who claims, who can say publicly that we as a state have met our commitment to CFE is making not only a big mistake, not only is that the wrong thing to say and the wrong message, but I take offense to that comment because when I go visit the schools in my community, for anybody who tells me that we already spend too much on education and not getting the results, well, I wonder where's the money going when I have school buildings that have no gymnasiums, I have school buildings with no auditoriums, I have classes being held in hallways, I have schools with no smart boards or technology to meet the demands for education in today's day and age. We have no after-school programs. We have nothing to offer these children.
Statewide, 72% of all Black and Hispanic students attend the Big Five school districts. Even after the modest increase this year, these schools will receive $450 million less than they did in 2008. CFE was about raising the level of state support, not cutting it by billions of dollars. The least that the state should do is not siphon off an additional $250 million for so-called performance grants instead of funding our needy districts.